All right. If you're in the research world at all, you've definitely heard the term literature review. And let's be honest, for a lot of us, it just sounds like a massive chore, right? It feels like this mountain of reading you've got to slog through before you can get to the real fun, the actual research. But what if I told you that's completely backwards? What if the literature review isn't a hurdle, but is actually your single most powerful tool?
You know this phrase. We've all heard it a million times. Before you make a big decision, before you jump into something new, do your homework. Well, in the world of research, doing your homework has a specific name. It's the literature review. It's the essential process of getting up to speed on everything that's already been said, discovered, and argued about your topic.
But, and this is a big one, this is exactly where a huge, and I mean very common, mistake gets made. There's this fundamental misunderstanding about what a literature review really is. And, getting this wrong can seriously undermine your entire project before you've even laid the first brick.
Okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. A literature review is not just a glorified book report. Seriously, it's not a simple checklist of who said what, it's not just an annotated bibliography, and it's definitely not just a bunch of article abstracts strung together. If that's how you're thinking about it, you are missing out on its entire purpose and all of its power.
This right here, this is the whole mindset shift you need to make. See, the flawed view is totally passive. You're just a collector, right? A reporter of other people's work. But the accurate view? Oh, that's 100% active. It's your critical analysis. It's your synthesized understanding. It becomes the solid intellectual foundation that justifies why your research even needs to exist. The goal is to stop being a collector and start being an architect.
So, okay, if it's not just a boring list of summaries, then what in the world is it? Let's totally redefine the goal here and get a clear picture of what you're actually trying to build.
The most important words on this slide are your understanding. That's the whole game. This is your chance to be the detective, to connect the dots between different studies, to make sense of conflicting ideas, and to spot the unanswered questions, the glaring gaps in the conversation. You're not just reporting the news, you are writing the definitive story so far.
And look, let's be real for a second. Building that kind of deep, nuanced understanding, it's not quick and it's not easy. In fact, the literature review is very often the single most time-consuming piece of a research project. But, and this is key, it is never busy work. Trust me, every single hour you invest at this stage is going to pay you back tenfold down the line.
So you're putting in all this effort. What's the payoff? What's the actual tangible impact on your own research? Why is it so worth the grind? Let's break down exactly what that big investment of time really buys you.
A truly great literature review does three absolutely critical things. First, it forces you to understand the problem from every possible angle, not just the one you started with. Second, it gives you the justification for your entire study. It lets you stand up and say, with confidence, look, here's what everyone has talked about so far, and here is the one crucial piece they've all missed. That's the gap your work is going to fill. And finally, it basically hands you a roadmap. You learn from what worked for others, and just as important, you learn what didn't so you can avoid the same pitfalls.
So it's really time to stop thinking about your literature review as this annoying obstacle you just have to get past. Instead, I want you to start seeing it for what it truly is. It's the foundational masterpiece for your entire project. Think about it like building a skyscraper. Everything else you do, your methods, your data, your analysis, it's all built directly on top of this one foundation. If that foundation is weak or shaky or has holes in it, the whole building is at risk of collapse. But if your foundation is solid, deep, and built with critical insight, well, then you can build something truly impressive.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you sit down to do this, ask yourself, am I just writing a report on what's already been done? Or am I drawing the blueprint for the brand new discovery I'm about to make? Because that little shift in perspective, well, that changes everything.